Hey guys, so today we have a 2020 election prediction between Senator Kamala Harris from the state of California and Mr. President Donald Trump, who's from New York but currently resides in Washington, D.C. So, how this video is going to work, we're going to go through all the state votes, then we're going to go through the likely, the leans, and the toss-ups for either party. So, let's now actually start off with the safe Republican states: Alaska, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, most of Nebraska, except that one electoral vote, Kansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia. These are all the safe Republican states. Now for the safe Democratic states: Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Illinois, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, if I can press it, Delaware, Maryland, the District of Columbia, New York, Vermont, and that one electoral vote in the state of Maine. So, we start off with 183 electoral votes for Senator Kamala Harris and 125 for the President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump. So let's just be a bit honest here. Kamala Harris, she's probably taking the state of New Mexico. Not really much competition there. Mr. Trump, he's probably taking Texas. He's probably taking that 2nd district in Nebraska. And why normally the 2nd district for a Democrat would be in the leaning Republican column, but I'm putting in the likely column because Kamala Harris cannot appeal to the flyover voters. So I definitely see Nebraska's 2nd district being in the likely Republican column, and same thing with Texas. She can't appeal to Texas voters the same way someone like a Beto O'Rourke or a Bernie Sanders could, and those are the only two candidates I see possibly winning in Texas. So Julian Castro also has a shot, but Trump would be favored if he was the nominee. So we're going to now go into some of the other likely states. I see the state of Virginia being likely. They love establishment Democrats. Harris kind of is an established Democrat, but also is kind of progressive. She kind of sticks one foot in the establishment Democratic part and then one foot in the progressive part. But I think the establishment voters in Virginia would see that and they would elect Senator Kamala Harris. Another state that's kind of likely, I'm now moving Arizona into the likely Republican column. But because Kamala Harris, that would be for a normal Democrat, but because Kamala Harris can appeal to African American voters, I'm putting it in the leaning Republican column, just because she can appeal to African American voters, unlike many politicians can, and this could be a bright spot for Kamala Harris. Same thing with Arizona. She can appeal to Latino voters, but I don't think it will be enough to push her over the finish line in the state of Arizona. So, those two states going towards Mr. President Donald Trump. So, another state that I actually see leaning, three states I see leaning towards the president: Iowa, Ohio, and North Carolina. These are 3 states that voted for President Trump back in 2016 by wider margins than expected. They're both traditionally Republican states, and Iowa and Ohio voted for Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012, and North Carolina voted for Barack Obama in 2008, but they all went to Mr. Trump in 2016, and they have not shown much love towards Democrats in the 2018 midterms. So that is the state of North Carolina. Now, those 3 states in the leaning Republican column. Now for a leaning Democratic state. States of Colorado and Nevada. I see Nevada leaning towards Harris and Colorado in the likely column now. Nevada, I was contemplating, well, I think I probably should move that into the likely column. However, I think that it will be just inside that 5% range, probably within 4%. 4% or outside of 4%, because Kamala Harris, she's from the state of California, which is right next to Nevada, if you know geography, or if you can look at a 270 to win map. Hopefully you can. But again, Kamala Harris from the state of California can appeal to Nevada voters. Same thing with Colorado. Also, both these states have been trending Democratic. They both elected Democratic governors. Nevada elected a Democratic senator. Most of the competitive districts went to the Democrats. And yeah, overall, these two states are pretty bright spots for Democrats, especially in the future. So, where do we stand now? 216 electoral votes for Senator Kamala Harris, 230 for Mr. President Donald Trump. So where can Kamala Harris make it up a bit? I see her winning the state of Minnesota. Now, I think it will be about the same margin as it was in 2016 because Kamala Harris is from the coast. I really don't think she can really appeal to Minnesota voters. But then again, they elected two Democratic senators. Amy Klobuchar won by 25 points. Tina Smith won by double digits, I believe. And then they also elected a new Democratic governor. Even though Republicans picked up two districts in the state, Democrats out kind of weighed that with their two pickups on their side. So, again, good news for statewide elected Democrats in the state of Minnesota. So that is a leaning Democratic state. Another place where she can make up her lead, another way she can make up her lead is in the state of Maine. The at-large kind of Maine, I see that one actually only being in the leaning Democratic column. And my reasoning, again, she can't appeal to Maine voters. She comes from California, definitely not someone who can really appeal to the voters in the state of Maine. And then in that second district, I definitely see that one going towards Mr. Trump in the likely column because, again, she can't appeal to those kind of voters. And in fact, I'm going to move that first congressional district into the likely Democratic column. So here we have 228 electoral votes for Senator Kamala Harris, 231 for Mr. President Donald Trump. I see Florida going towards the president. Now, reasoning behind this, the Republicans in the midterms, they won two competitive statewide elected offices, very high positions, that being the Senate race and the gubernatorial race. In addition, Kamala Harris cannot appeal to the retired voters because she is from the state of California. Now, I don't want to keep bringing up that argument, but again, in a blue wave, that was, I think, a blue wave in 2018. In a blue wave, Republicans still carried the state of Florida and picked up, by the way, the Senate race in the state of Florida. So if Indiana was going to the Republicans by 6, Missouri going to the Republicans by 6 or 7, it's becoming very difficult to make a clear case for Democrats to win in the state of Florida unless they have a very top-notch candidate. So that puts Mr. Trump very close to the 270 electoral votes that he needs to become the next president of the United States. So where can Kamala Harris make this up? Well, it's beginning to get very hard to see places Harris can win. I see Mr. Trump winning the states of Wisconsin. Now, reasoning behind this, yes, they elected Democrats in the statewide offices, re-elected all of them, but Kamala Harris, again, cannot appeal to Rust Belt voters. Only Democrats that can really speak to the Rust Belt voters is Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. If Democrats run them, they will likely win the presidency because they carry Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. But if they run other people, it's harder for them to win in the Rust Belt. So, Trump wins in Wisconsin, and Trump carries their 10 electoral votes. Another state where the president can win, he can win in the state of Pennsylvania. And I definitely see this one leaning towards the president. He kind of appeals to them, the Wisconsin voters. Definitely Kamala Harris cannot appeal to Pennsylvania voters. And Michigan, that's going to be a hotly contested race. I'm moving that into the pure toss-up column. I cannot make a clear indication as to who would win there. It voted for Trump the least out of those 3 states. Its approval ratings, I believe, are the lowest in Michigan out of those 3 states. Democrats have been performing better in statewide offices in Michigan than in those other states. But Kamala Harris again cannot appeal to those Rust Belt voters, and I see Michigan being a pure toss-up state. And the final state is the state of New Hampshire, and I'm really torn about this state, but at this point in time, I think I'm going to move it into the pure toss-up column. So this is the final electoral map: 228 electoral votes for Senator Kamala Harris, 20 in the pure toss-up column, 290 for Mr. President Donald Trump. So people are going to ask, how can Harris win? Well, she can do one thing, and in my mind, the easiest path to a Harris victory is first take the pure toss-up states. That's the number one thing she needs to do. She first needs to close that gap by taking the pure toss-up states. Second step for Kamala Harris to win, she has two paths to do this. She has two paths. Path number one, flip Florida. That would put her over the mark at 277 electoral votes, but Florida's leaning Republican. Other ways she can do it, she can flip Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and that gets her to 278, but I see both those leaning towards the Republicans. Another way she can use this path. So if she can't win Florida, she can win North Carolina, and she can win Georgia. That would get her over the mark. But both these states I don't see going to Kamala Harris. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.